All right, let's get right back into it. So we're going to finish off the Metro here. Metro seed number 2, Carolina Hurricanes, 52, 23, and 7, 111 points and a plus 63 goal differential. They're taking on the Metro 3 seed New York Islanders, 39, 27, and 16, 94 points and a minus 17. Head coaches Rod Brind'Amour versus Patrick Waugh. And Eastern Conference Finals, question mark, or repeat of last year in comparison to the Hurricanes and the Islanders. Model of consistency versus dice roll. And the reason I have that for the Islanders, 16 overtime losses. And again, when you get into the Stanley Cup playoffs, there is no such thing as that. You play until everybody else can't play anymore, until we find a winner. So stats on centerpieces. Let's start with the Canes here. Sebastian, 78 games played, 36 goals, 53 assists, 89 points plus 34. Seth Jarvis, 81 games played, 33, 34, 63 plus 23. Marty Necas, who calls him Martin? I just don't know that. 77 games played, 24 goals, 29 assists, 53 points, minus 9. Teuvo Teravainen, 76 games played, 25, 28 plus 15 on 53 points. Andrei Svechnikov, 19 goals, 33 assists, 52 points, plus 13. Again, he missed some time. And then Mathew Barzal, as you switch up here to the Islanders, 80 games played, 23, 57, 80, minus 4. Bo Horvat, same thing in games played, but 33, 35, 68, minus 2. Brock Nelson had a really strong year. Very adept across the board. 33 goals, 34 assists, 67 points, minus 6. And Kyle Palmieri will round out players in the top 50 points in 29 goals, 24 assists, 53 points, and a minus 17. So not too bad for the Islanders when you really think about it as far as putting pucks in the net, even though a lot of those games go into OT. We'll talk about the record with Patrick Waugh under his tenure a little bit here. We'll just get into the defense first. So for Brady Shea, for the Canes, 80 games played, 13 goals, 34 assists, 47 points. Brent Burns, all 82. He's been a remarkable effort of consistency since joining the Canes as well. It kind of revitalized his career a little bit. Not that it was ever gone, but it's definitely added to it. 10 goals, 33 assists, 43 points, plus 19. Jaccob Slavin, 6, 31, 37. And then Noah Dobson for the Isles. 79 games played, 10 goals, 60 assists, 70 points, and plus 12. Noah Dobson has got to be getting some considerations for the Norris, does he not? Because where would the Islanders be without him? That's a remarkable season for Noah Dobson, and I hope he keeps it up. Mike Reilly in 58 games, 6, 17, 23, plus 3. You got Ryan Pullock and Adam Pelech, per usual. Pullock, 57 games played, 5 goals, 13 assists, 18 points, and Pelech, 57 as well. 1 goal, 15 assists, 16 points. So the additions of points kind of drop off there. The plus minus drops off a little bit in comparison between these two teams. Some of those I didn't mark because if I didn't mark it, that means they were close to even or it was so negligible it didn't matter. But when you're looking at this in the notes, you will notice there's a stark difference in discrepancy of plus minus, the amount of games won, just the shot suppression and everything else that Carolina likes to do is elite. Carolina's additions. Jake Guentzel. Okay, so for Jake Guentzel and the Pittsburgh Penguins, his entire year alongside with Carolina was 67 games played to deal with some injuries, but he still had 30 goals, 47 assists, 77 points, and a plus 25 since his trade from Pittsburgh. In 17 games, he's got 8 goals, 17 assists, 25 points, and a plus 16. Safe to say that he's fit right in. And for Evgeny Kuznetsov from the Caps, a little bit of a cap hit there, and again, a couple picks out of it. 63 games played, 8, 16, 24, minus 11 since his trade. He is even in the plus minus. He's got 7 points in 20 games. So not quite the impact they're probably expecting, but still, you take that minus 11, you're even with Carolina, you're at least doing your job there. And Jake Guentzel has done all the other heavy lifting. But here's the addition that I want to throw out there for New York. I'm not talking about players. I'm talking about Lane Lambert to Patrick Waugh. Because Patrick Waugh had taken a team in the New York Islanders. Again, everybody likes to talk about, oh, he's crazy and this is that and that. It's not going to fit. I understand that. They're 20, 12, and 5 since he's been there. They were in complete free fall, and they had to make a change in goal and a change in behind the bench. I could change in goal, I'm thinking, because of the goaltender, but a change behind the bench because of the situation with Lou Lamoriello and Lane Lambert. It just wasn't working out. So he's taken the same team that Lane Lambert had and turned them around the All-Star break, being 20, 12, and 5. That's with some changes as far as defensive philosophy, but with the same team. So he certainly had an impact. Now, Patrick Waugh is one of those guys. You remember with Joe Sakic several years ago. I mean, he was fired having over a 100-point season and behind the bench. Again, he burns the candle on both ends. But, like John Tortorella, Patrick Waugh can make immediate impact. And he's shown he's done that without making any really major changes to the roster. That's really impressive. Goaltending. Freddie Andersen for the Canes. And again, it's just good to be able to say Freddie Andersen's name and get a chance to have him actually play NHL hockey, because he only played 16 games this year. Blood clots were the issue. In his 16 games, Vezina level, 13-2, 13-2-0, 184 goals against, 932 save percentage, and 3 shutouts. He only played 16 games. Peter Kochetkov, 42 games played, 23, 13-4, 911, and 4 shutouts. So Kochetkov was good when he had to spell Freddie Andersen. So that really works out well, because if you're at least decent enough, and again, Antti Raanta had a little bit of a stint there with the Chicago Wolves when he had to come back. He played okay. He had to get sent back down and pick it back up. But that defensive suppression that Carolina has, if you can just be good enough in goal, everything else should be able to take care of itself. For the New York Islanders, Semyon Varlamov, he was the backup, 28 games played, 14, 8-4, 260, 917 save percentage, and 3 shutouts. That is someone that you can also, where I list him first, someone that Patrick Waugh can turn to, because why? When he was the head coach of the Avalanche, Semyon Varlamov was in net. I know he trusts him very much. Ilya Sorokin, these numbers need to improve. 55 games played. He was the leader there, as he should be, 24, 19, and 12. 299 goals against, 908 save percentage, and a couple shutouts. The New York Islanders aren't where they are this year because of Ilya Sorokin. Normally, I could say that in a couple of years, and you would probably throw things at the screen or scratch your head and say, well, yeah, it's got to be Ilya Sorokin. It wasn't Ilya Sorokin this year. That wasn't the reason why the Islanders have been where they are. Semyon Varlamov played a key role. The defense did what they needed to do at times, and they got enough goal scoring to be opportunistic. But again, 16 overtime losses. That kind of scares you, but at least that also tells you this. When you get into the postseason again, the Islanders wouldn't be afraid to push the game into OT and make life difficult for Carolina, much like they did in the first round last year when it went 7 games and the Canes had to get some heroics. And then the pretty much 4 one-goal games that were played against the Florida Panthers in the Eastern Conference Finals. New York Islanders, if they can get the goaltender that they need and have a little bit of defense, and Carolina struggles to score like they usually do in the postseason, but that's why they added Jake Guentzel. But if they go back to that, that could be a problem for them. Let's get into some other stats, though. This was interesting to me, and I wanted to throw it out. So start disparity for goals for in this series. We'll start with the Canes, 277, which is top 10. It's 8th. That's pretty good. But there's 32 teams in the league now. And for the New York Islanders, they had 240 goals, which is 23rd out of 32. That's not very good there. Goals against for Carolina, as again, you talk about the shot suppression, which is the best in the league, the fewest amount of shots against. Would make sense that the goals against are low, 211, which is 4th. And for the Islanders, 254, which is 18th. So pretty close to the middle of the pack there for goals against, but they've lost a lot of overtime games. Canes are 3.38 goals per, comparison to 296. But the power play and penalty kill, this is where it can get a little dicey. Very dicey for the Isles, but we'll start with Carolina. So we talked about how good their shot suppression and the defensive effort was, correct? Well, now Carolina has found their offensive effort, especially on the power play. Second, 26.9%, just below 27%, and first in penalty kill at 86.4%. In comparison, the Isles are 21st on the power play at 19.7 and 32nd, dead last in penalty kill at 72.2%. Dead last in penalty kill, going up against the best penalty kill on the other side for the Carolina Hurricanes and the second best power play. That is, oh boy, on the other side for the New York Islanders. So here's the deal. The average, and this is how you do this is what I was talking about from the hockey guy and Shannon, make sure you go follow him on YouTube, is the average for a standard level of specialty teams is you take that number and percentage for the power play and penalty kill and combine them. 26.9, 86.4. That gets you around 114% for Carolina's specialty team unit. 100% is the average. You want to get close to 100% as you can. A little bit over that, be about an average. Combine those numbers, get 100%. Carolina's 114. That means they're absolutely freaking elite on both sides. Again, second, first between power play and penalty kill is going to tell you that. For the New York Islanders, it's 91%, so they're way below average as far as, they're in the basement of the penalty kill, and their power play is already below. That when they have to not play game 5-on-5, they're in trouble. And Carolina is one of these teams as well, even for Sebastian, who seems to continue to grow. And again, there's two Sebastian in this series. I'm talking about the frontliner for the Carolina Hurricanes and center, who had 89 points in 78 games. The other one's on defense for the Islanders. But when you think about Aho for Carolina, he's also grown before our very eyes, has he not, over the last few, becoming a complete two-way player who can put the puck in the net and do everything. Carolina is a team that's going to force you to take penalties, and it's going to be a big problem for the Islanders if it goes that way. So the season series, and this is another one of those ones that's a surprise, is it's a season series split 2-2 in a 7-game series last season. But who wins, and give reasons for both. So let me state the obvious here. Carolina Hurricanes, they have ventures and aspirations to get back to the Eastern Conference Finals, as they should. Again, that bitter taste in their mouth between the Florida Panthers of losing 4 one-goal games is definitely a problem. But they had problems last year in the first round. Yes, they won it, but it took them 7 games. But the difference is this. I think, at least for me, off the eye test, Brind'Amour, I wouldn't say has unleashed the offense a little more, but pieces like Jake Guentzel and Evgeny Kuznetsov, but especially Jake Guentzel, is exactly what this team needs to stretch out the rest of their lines and be able to do damage across the board. I think Carolina Hurricanes will not have as much trouble as they usually do scoring goals in the postseason against teams, especially when it gets down to the nitty-gritty, where it gets close and there's multiple overtimes. I think Carolina can have enough just to get a couple more goals in their differential and push ahead and not have this be a 7-game series. The reason why we started with these 2 Metro series first is because I think these ones are pretty self-explanatory, at least to me. I'm not going to be a savant and give you the correct number of games played all the time, but I still think the winners of the slam dunk in the previous for the Rangers and now the Carolina Hurricanes, that is what I'm leaning with. The Carolina Hurricanes shot suppression, again, is the best in the league. And their goaltenders. If Freddie Anderson plays the way that he's playing right now in limited action, and thank God he's back from the blood clots, but a 13-2-0 with a 184, if he's playing like that, Carolina does what they do on defense, and they get some more offensive help with additions like Jake Guentzel, there's too much for the Hurricanes to have to work with here, and the Islanders are going to have a tough time. On the Islanders side of it, it's pretty simple for me. Sometimes, again, you talk about games in the postseason, you say, hey, it comes down to goaltending. Now, it doesn't take rocket scientists to tell you that. Ilya Sorokin can't have a 299 goals against if he wants to get these further along for the Islanders in the postseason. If he gets this over 3, they're cooked at that point for the Islanders. You got to be able to do the same things that the Caps wanted to do this year. Be able to muck it up a little bit there for the Islanders. But yes, you have guys like Barzal and Bo Horvat who have been really good. And you're going to need Noah Dobson to drive that bus. Against 70 points and 79 games played in the blue line side of it is excellent for a team that usually struggles to score. Been a little bit better this year, but still, that is not their strength. So I would expect if the Islanders are going to do well, first, it's got to come with Ilya Sorokin, or Semyon Varlamov's going to get the quick key in, and he's good enough to do it. I trust him. But I need Noah Dobson to continue to drive that bus in the blue line, create offense, help out Barzal, Bo Horvat. You need Brock Nelson, who I thought had a fantastic year for 33 goals and 34 assists. That's excellent. Kyle Palmieri about another 30 goals. Good depth. But after that, where's J.G. Pageau? Where's some of the other guys in the back end, third, fourth line side that's going to help? Top six, I feel, can do damage here for the Islanders. But it's going to be up to the goaltending. It's going to be up to guys like Noah Dobson, and maybe some of the back end to do a little bit more than they're expected in that bottom six for the forwards. I think that's a lot to ask. I know Carolina took it to 7 games last year in New York Islanders, and it was a nail biter, and we thought it would be. I think this Islanders team is maybe better a little bit, but I think Carolina is as well, and from last year's side. So I'm going to take Carolina in 6. You can catch the first game in the series Saturday, April 20th at 5 p.m. Eastern on TBS.